What if the people you trusted most, your childhood friends, turned into your worst nightmare? Megan Hart thought her bond with Kelly, Emma, and Tara was unbreakable, but they harbored a secret so dark it led to her brutal and tragic end. What was the truth they couldn't let her reveal? Stay tuned, because this shocking betrayal will leave you speechless. Megan Hart's childhood was filled with the kind of warmth that only small towns can offer, a place where friendships were formed in innocence and laughter. Willow Creek, with its quiet streets and tight knit community, had been the backdrop of countless memories for Megan and her three childhood friends Kelly, Emma, and Tara. They were more than just friends, they were a sisterhood, bound by years of shared experiences and dreams. Their days were spent running through fields, riding bikes until the sun set, and telling each other secrets that no one else could ever understand. Megan, the bright and ambitious one, stood out even then, always dreaming of a future beyond the familiar comfort of their town. She had big plans, and when she earned a scholarship to a prestigious college, her friends were both proud and confused. Proud because they knew Megan's potential, but confused because they couldn't share in the excitement of her new life. As Megan's success grew, so did the distance between them. While she embraced new opportunities, her friends remained in Willow Creek, their own hopes and dreams slowly fading into the background. The gap widened, yet Megan tried her best to stay connected. She returned home on weekends and holidays, keeping in touch with old memories, hoping to rekindle the magic that once existed between them. But there was a shift, an unspoken tension that hung in the air. Her friends smiled, but the warmth was gone, replaced by something darker, something Megan couldn't quite place. She ignored the feeling, believing their bond was unbreakable, never imagining that the very people she trusted most would one day betray her in the worst possible way. It was on a warm summer evening when the fragile thread holding Megan's past and present together began to unravel. She had come back to Willow Creek for a brief visit, hoping to reconnect with the friends she had left behind. The reunion had been planned with excitement, a chance to relive the carefree days of their youth. Megan, full of nostalgia and hope, looked forward to catching up with Kelly, Emma, and Tara. They had all agreed to meet at their old hangout spot, a secluded cabin by the lake where they had spent countless nights laughing under the stars. But this time, something felt different. The air was heavy, charged with an energy Megan couldn't ignore. The moment she stepped inside, she sensed a coldness from her friends that she couldn't understand. It wasn't the warmth of familiar faces. It was something else, a silent judgment. As they all settled in, a quiet tension lingered until Kelly finally broke the silence. With an air of forced calm, she revealed that she had found something that Megan had hoped would stay buried forever. Old journals from their teenage years, hidden away in Megan's childhood room, had resurfaced. Kelly's voice trembled as she read aloud an entry that chilled Megan to the core. The words on the page described a secret Megan had kept for years, a secret that tied them all to a dark event in their town's history, something no one had ever spoken of. The revelation cut through the room like a blade, and for the first time, Megan realized her childhood friends weren't the same people she had once trusted with everything. The betrayal was clear. Her past had become a weapon in their hands, and they weren't sure if they could forgive her or if they even wanted to. The conversation quickly spiraled out of control. What began as an uncomfortable confrontation soon turned into a terrifying exchange of accusations and hurtful words. Megan tried to defend herself, her voice shaking with the weight of her own fear and regret. She had never meant for anyone to find out. The secret she had kept for so long wasn't just hers to share, it was theirs too. But her friends, now clouded by anger and a sense of betrayal, couldn't see that. Kelly's voice grew louder, more insistent. "You think you're better than us, don't you, Megan?" She spat, her eyes flashing with a fury Megan had never seen in her. "You've been hiding the truth, thinking we'd never find out. But we know now, and you're not getting away with it." Tara and Emma, once her closest allies, didn't offer any support. Instead, they stood by, their faces pale with the shock of it all, yet somehow relieved to have someone else voice the fear they all shared. The truth, Megan had known something about a crime that involved all of them, something so dark and damaging that if it ever came to light, it would tear their lives apart. She had been a witness, an unwilling participant in a terrible secret. Megan tried to explain that she was protecting them, trying to protect herself. But her words fell on deaf ears. Fear and paranoia had taken hold of her friends' minds. Kelly, with her clenched fists and wild eyes, turned to the others. "We can't let this go. She'll ruin everything," she said. And just like that, the seed of violence was planted. Megan's heart raced as the terror set in. She realized then that her childhood friends, people she had trusted more than anyone, were no longer the people she thought they were. The friends she once believed would stand by her were now deciding her fate. The once familiar woods, where they had spent countless days exploring as children, now felt suffocating, almost alien to Megan. The moonlight barely pierced the thick canopy of trees as she walked behind her childhood friends, following them in uneasy silence. They had told her they wanted to talk, to settle things once and for all. But there was something in the way Kelly's eyes darted around and the tension in the air that told Megan this wasn't a simple conversation. She could feel it in the pit of her stomach, the gnawing sensation that everything she had known was slipping away and she was no longer in control. When they reached a clearing, Kelly suddenly stopped and turned to face her. Tara and Emma flanked her, their faces unreadable but stiff with tension. Megan's pulse quickened. "This ends tonight, Megan," Kelly said, her voice cold and devoid of the warmth Megan had once known. "We're not letting you ruin everything for us." Megan's heart pounded, the weight of her secret crashing down on her. She never intended to hurt anyone. She never wanted to expose the truth. But Kelly's words hung heavy in the air. "You won't tell anyone, will you?" Kelly's voice was low, almost a growl now, and Megan felt an icy chill creep up her spine. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. Her friends had no intention of letting her walk away. She was trapped. "No one will ever know," Kelly whispered, the words laden with something darker. The sound of a struggle broke the silence, and before Megan could react, everything spiraled into chaos. They attacked her with a force and determination Megan had never imagined. It was swift, brutal, and merciless. There was no hesitation, no remorse in their eyes, just a chilling determination to make sure she could never speak again. Megan fought back, but it was no use. Her world went black as her childhood friends, people she had trusted more than anyone, turned on her with an unforgiving cruelty that shattered her heart and soul. In those final moments, Megan understood. The people who once loved her had become her executioners. Months passed, and the town of Willow Creek seemed to move on. But Megan's disappearance never stopped haunting the community. Search efforts had come and gone with little success, and her family, devastated but hopeful, never gave up hope. Her friends, the very people who knew the truth, played their parts well. They cried, they searched, they comforted Megan's parents, all while hiding the truth behind their smiles. But beneath their carefully constructed facades, guilt festered, eating away at their insides. They had buried Megan's body, convinced that silence was the only way to protect themselves, but they could never truly escape what they had done. The town continued to mourn, unaware that the answers they so desperately sought were closer than anyone could imagine. Then, one fateful day, the truth surfaced in the most unlikely way. A group of hikers, lost in the woods, stumbled upon something they hadn't expected. Bones, partially buried and barely visible beneath the underbrush. The remains were soon identified as Megan's, and the case was reopened with shocking urgency. The town was stunned, and the police, now with fresh leads, began re-examining every detail of Megan's life. The pieces of the puzzle started to fall into place, and all signs pointed to her childhood friends. It didn't take long for the investigation to uncover the chilling truth. Forensics and circumstantial evidence led to Kelly, Emma, and Tara. As the interrogation began, their carefully constructed stories began to crack. One by one, their guilt became undeniable. Tara was the first to break, unable to withstand the pressure, and in a flood of tears, she confessed. Soon after, Kelly and Emma followed, each pointing fingers at the other, trying to lessen their own guilt. The courtroom was filled with the anguished faces of Megan's family, who had hoped for justice, but now had to face the horrifying truth. Their daughter's life had been taken by the very people who should have loved and protected her. The betrayal was complete. The friends who once promised to always stand by her had instead destroyed her. and the town would never be the same. Megan's story was finally told, but it was too late for any healing to begin. The darkness that had grown between them had irrevocably changed everything.